Oh, I started to record this, and then I seen I had to add something to this before I even roll the whole thing. I'm going to give you a little bit of a spiel about some stuff, but I want to read to you the definition of social Darwinism, and do that first, and then I'll go to my spiel, and I'll let me know what you think in the comment sections. Here we go. Here we are. We've got it teed up. Social Darwinism is a set of theories and societal practices that apply biological concepts of natural selection and survival of the fittest to human societies, economics, and politics. It emerged in the late 19th century, and it posits, or whatever you want to call it, that certain individuals or groups become powerful in society because they are innately better. This ideology has been used to justify various social inequities, imperialism, and racism throughout history. Critics argue that it is misapplies Darwinism theories to social contexts, leading to harmful societal practices. Um, and there's some more little definitions you can go by with Wikipedia and things like that. Uh, and then you got people who would say, well, see, that's the reason why we don't want a capitalist society, because then it creates a situation of people who feel better. But here's the thing: is how this works in a place called America. If you level the playing field so far as if you a merit-based system to where all you have to do is just work hard. That's all you got to do. I'm not talking about work like a slave. I'm talking about treat people right, be honest, be thoughtful, do your very best. It doesn't always have to be perfect, but as long as you do your very best and try really hard and learn from your mistakes, you will find yourself in quite a decent place in this world. You're not going to be left behind. And what people have done are like crazy people who want to destroy this country. They've put social Darwinism like center front and gamed the system in a way to where they've dumbed society down to where you're not able to do your best. Your best is mediocre at the most because that's all you know. You don't know that you're putting a really crappy effort in life because you're being told by everybody gets a trophy in sports, and everybody gets an A, whether or not you did a good paper or not. We don't want to leave anybody behind. We don't want it, because life is so hard. Let's make it really easy. And by doing that, you have now gamed the system and dumbed society down to where it doesn't function, because you may be dumber, but society is still society. And if you've made it easier to exist, that means you forgot something along the way. And you're not a functional person anymore. Now, that may or may not be your fault, depending upon your ability to understand your situation and what's going on around you. But if you're starting to be shown what's going on around you and you still decide to put your head in the sand and think that it's a good idea just to move along with the system, you're going to find yourself in an EBT place that's not going to be very good. And that's what I mean by that. So social Darwinism typically would only be theoretically applicable if you destroy a system that functions and people trying their best and learning real things. All right, y'all get ready for this. Here we go. Buddy, thank you for tuning in again and looking at my withered and tired face. We've been working a lot, but here we are. I have sort of a thing I've been thinking about, and and hear me out on this. So we know the government's been shut down, and the Democrats seem to be wanting, like, they're like, we're going to set the bar so low for you to get to bend over to get underneath it that it's going to be absolutely impossible. The things that they're demanding in the negotiations that they won't let take place, and now that we're everybody's on vacation, it's going to be an issue because people are already freaking out now. I can show you videos of all the people pissed off because their SNAP benefits have been sort of reduced or cut off. Fully support that, because about all these people you see are well able-bodied men and women that have the ability to provide if they wanted to bad enough. The fact that they don't want to is because they don't have to. They've got an easy way, And they're not going to miss a meal. They might not be able to buy as much weed or get their hair done, but a lot of the times, and this transcends all makes and models of people. I'm not just nailing this on one demographic, because I know a bunch of people that are you're like, well, you're picking on black people. No, I'm not. I know a bunch of white people who if this wall behind me is part of the shop. The wall that's behind this computer, there are people within a 30-foot radius who I know are selling their food stamps for monetary enticements. They call it 100 for half. I give you $100 worth of food for $50 worth of cash. And they do this. And these are white people. I'm not singling out a demographic of people. That's why I'm not going to show you videos, even though a lot of them are that. But I'm getting off subject. These people are openly saying that if I can't click my card, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to start stealing. I'm going to start taking food. I'm going to go in there with my grocery cup. I'm going to push it right out the door. And I think that those aren't veiled threats. That is what they're going to do. And this is just after a short period of trying to figure out what's going on here. We need to kind of pull things back a little bit and see who's eligible and who's grifting off the system. And even the people that are grifting off the system who are not only doing this they're going to retaliate because of the fact that they're not getting their way. These are children. These are grown children acting out in a way because they're not getting what they want. I could show you a video of this famous songwriter who's a grown-ass man who's sitting on a couch on a podcast and he's crying because his food stamp's about to get cut. He's a grown man. There's grown women on there. My food stamps. Now, the reason why I'm even going into this right here is because there's not a lot of media creators in the independent industry that I'm in that are explaining to you what the Democrats' goal would be. They want civil unrest. They want a situation where their side acts out to where our side reacts kinetically, physically. They want something on our end so that they can be the victim, the martyr. And they'll use the mainstream media arm to villainize anybody and everybody who retaliates against somebody doing some crazy shit to them. If the food stamp benefits stay off, through the government shutdown, and the Democrats know this, middle of November, you can bet that there's going to be crazy street riots. Stores are going to get looted. That kind of behavior tends to be somewhat contagious in ways to where it gets blown farther out of proportion. And eventually, you have this thing almost like a Kenosha kid who's got a dad you have a business. It has nothing to do with food, but they're just angry. And they see you working and not upset because you're for some reason, these people that do nothing, that want your something, are angry whenever you finally work hard enough to provide enough for them and for you to where you have something. And they want you to not have anything while working for them, to provide them with their taxpayer-funded food stamps, their SSI checks, all this stuff that they need, that they get, that they think they're entitled to. The entitlement of these people, like, I deserve a pop. My kids deserve popsicles. They need snacks. How am I going to get my kids snacks? And most of these people weigh like they're fucking overweight. It's not going to hurt them to miss a meal. They could be all right. And if they did, they'd lose a little weight. Maybe the people wouldn't look at them so bad. And they might not hate themselves when they look in the mirror. I don't know, but I'm just saying, so this is, to me, the reason why the Democrats are acting like, oh, we're trying to negotiate. We want better get negotiating so you get health care. All you hear out of these assholes' mouths is health care, affordable health care. The Republicans for affordable health. First of all, they're trying to cram health care down your throat that's probably not good for your health. I'm just saying. I mean, in my opinion, when I see this, I know I'm jumping from around a little bit, but hear me out. There's a reason for this. These Democrats, which the Republicans are probably just as guilty as the Democrats when it comes to the rhinoceroses doing the crazy stuff they do to get us to this point, because we wouldn't even be at this point if Republicans act like Republicans when they started being Republicans. But hear me out. Just we're rolling with this. Dude. Yeah. So these Democrats are saying that Republicans won't negotiate, won't come to the table. It won't, they want some crazy demand for health care to be affordable. And so instead of getting things rolling in the government and trying to figure out how to come to a middle ground, no, it's not, nobody gets nothing. Nobody gets nothing. But the media will villainize one side so that it makes it look like it's not the Democrats, because the Democrats, they still kind of need the black people to vote for them. Especially if the illegals get deported. They're going to really need you guys again. I'm sorry, but that's really what the deal is. And they're like, man, how are we going to keep these people on our plantation? We got to give them shit. If the black people got... Please forgive me. I hate to focus this on one demographic, but you guys have been used. And so just hear me out. I don't mean this to be offensive. There's a lot of really great people that out there, but a lot of these people have fell victim to the system that they think is for them. If all the people who are on these benefits decide to start providing for themselves, this goes on long enough to where we get past the riots, the stores put the windows back in, everybody starting to act right, and they're actually providing for themselves. There's enough illegals gone out of the system to where people can get a job, and then they start doing something, and they realize how empowering that is, and they don't want their system anymore. Do you know how devastating that'd be for the one side that wants to keep people on some sort of a plantation so that they could use these people as a tool? And by the way, you'll only be used as a tool long enough until they can move in a whole new set of tools that are cheaper. Like you'd be the Blue Point Snap-ons, people that's lived in America, then they'll move in a whole bunch of Harbor Freights across the border. Roll you right in there. Screw you. We don't want your Snap-on tools. We got Harbor Freights now. It's a lot cheaper and easier. Half the labor. But that might be a thing. But long story short, the Democrats want this government shutdown as much. And you hear Chuck Schumer say, "Yeah, every day with the shutdown it's just getting better and better for us," because they want the civil unrest. They want something to happen to where they can act out. And then the more that the civil unrest gets, the more that Trump will have to go in there and say, because of the defunded police departments, the blue run cities who want destruction amongst their people, well, then the National Guard's got to come in there and do something to protect innocent people who don't ask. They're not asking for this. They don't want to be caught up in this violence and being, and you're being used. Everybody, even the people who don't want anything to do with politics, even people who wants to just keep their head in the sand. You guys are being used like a chess piece on a chessboard, because you're going to get pissed off and you're going to complain. I'm mad because my house is on fire. Why is my house on fire? And the only reason why that is because they're not arresting criminals, because they want civil unrest. They want people to be unsafe, and they want people to loot these stores and steal this food and bitch about shit. And then they want a race war, so they want one side to get mad at the other side, so on both ends, so that they'll go at each other and divide. And meanwhile, there's a vacuum of power that's going to be sucked up by globalist elites, and then put your ass right in a damn box, and you won't even get a Sega Game Gear. You're just going to sit there in a box with a half-eaten banana. That's not a really good analogy. Just hear me out. Sorry. But long story short, you're not going to get the shit that you thought you was. The people who think that, well, I'll get boy, these handouts are going to be great. Everybody gets to drive what's a nice car other than a Cadillac, which is not even a nice car. But everybody's going to get to drive a really nice car. But no, you'll be lucky if you get to ride the city transportation bus, if it's even running, if the engine's working on it, because in socialist countries and like Venezuela and Cuba and places like that, just go look and see how that worked out. The buildings are falling apart. The plumbing doesn't work. The electrical system is failing, and you're closed in. They don't have any, there's no way to reach out and get out of that, because you're in a situation where you can't even afford to get on an airplane to get the hell out of there. And and that's a form of control that you will find yourself under, all because of the fact that people decided to take the easy way out. They want the easy. I want my EBT. I want my government handouts. I want, but I don't want to do nothing. Wow, 11-minute rant. But I just wanted to get that out there. It's a video. I wanted to talk for a minute. We do a lot of article reading, and we do a lot of showing you really crazy stuff. But lo and behold, the word needs to get out to people who are sitting on the fence with their head in the sand, and the ones that have been paying attention to these damn crazy ass like Jasmine Crockett's and Maxine Waters and Elizabeth Warren's and Jay Powell and Rashida Tlaib's and all these people that have been feeding you the idea that, and I'm not saying, oh, be a Republican, because I got news for you guys. The Republicans ain't hitting on much. Please, I'm registered that, but I watched them just sit back and do absolutely nothing, if not like actually vote for Democrat shit. So that means that my representation doesn't exactly exist. In other words, reject their system that they're trying to sell you to keep you divided. Reject the system that's going to put you in a place to where you think you're better than one side because you're moral high ground. You can have that moral high ground, but don't rely on some other political party for you to ride on that. Just show them the right way. Be a decent person. I want things to be better, and I want people to get along. And as long as we're listening to other people tell us how we're supposed to act, we're never going to think for ourselves. But I know this much: paying attention to them telling you that this one side's doing it, both sides are doing it. The Republicans laid their guard down on purpose to allow the Democrats to build up this criminal power structure that is so far out of control that trying to bring it down will end up, it's like a balancing mechanism. It's like a wheel. It's imagine a perfectly circular device that is spinning at 10,000 RPMs. And if you try to take one piece off, it becomes out of balance and can fly apart and destroy the whole thing. That's what the Republicans allowed to happen for the Democrats to build up, which makes the Republicans just as of a criminal. There's some good people on both sides of the aisle. I'll bet there's more on the Republican side than there are on the Democrats. But a long story short, you've got to start thinking for yourselves and quit relying on an outside source to say this is how you need to feel. I'm not telling you how to feel. Just think about this. Think about what I'm saying. But this is all a plan. This is all a plan to bring in that Agenda 2030. And part of it is, just like Klaus Schwab said, you can go back and look at some of his prior speeches at the World Economic Forum circa 2022, 2023, right around in there. You can do your little searches online. You can look for it on Twitter, X, TikTok, whatever you want to call it. All these things exist that are easy to find. Where Klaus Schwab, the little bald-headed dude with the head, that Yuval Harari guy that wants to merge your ass with a damn computer, fucker, wants to engineer humans, but that fool can't even get his own hair to grow. That Harari guy, Yuval Harari, you'll see what I'm talking about if you do a little bit of research. But Klaus Schwab says we are aiming for an angrier world. We want an angrier society. That way, you're sucked into a destruction mechanism, and then under that will be a vacuum of power that will be seized by a third entity, and then your freedoms will be facilitated through however they fix the problem that they created. So go ahead and hate everybody around you. See how that works out? It just ain't gonna go like you think it is. Yeah. All right. Yeah. The EBT thing. The EBT thing. Think. Fuckers act. Bitch, think. I'm going to wrap this up. Toilet paper. You see how people acted when there was no toilet paper? Wait till there's no food.